Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this webinar about responsible communication. This webinar is part of the Global Trends and Transformation Month that is led by the European Regional Council. Thanks to the Global Alliance, thanks Mateu for giving us your support, and thanks also to the PR Club, thanks Pavel for organizing this webinar. This is the first one of a series of many, I hope, trying to collect business cases around this concept of responsible communication. And this first webinar is the European contribution. I'm going to share a brief presentation to explain the concept and to explain the project that is led by the Global Alliance. I think you can watch the presentation.
Yes,
It's working. Okay. So the headline of the presentation and the rationale of the presentation is to explain why for and what is responsible communication project led by the Global Alliance in order to call the United Nations to create a new SDG around this concept. Some examples of our environment regarding to public relations and communication. You know very well this picture. This is non-responsible communication because, as you know very well, it was a manipulated picture. And at the same time, this is responsible communication from the Princess of Wales. Maybe you remember these two pictures, one from the Pope and another one from Donald Trump. Both are created by artificial intelligence and both are fake. That is non-responsible communication. But Instagram decided to notify when a picture is created with artificial intelligence. This is responsible communication. Regarding the very recent attacks in Moscow, this is, you know, propaganda. When there is a war, there is a lot of propaganda from the governments. In that case, is from Russian government that is making a link between the terrorists and Ukraine in order to create a climate against the Ukraine and also in favor of the war. And that's for us, propaganda is bad or is non-responsible communication. At this campaign, I'm going to run a video, is a responsible communication.
This is the biggest migration crisis in Europe after the Second World War.
We have 300,000 coming to just one city. So, of course, it puts an enormous strain on the city services.
Millions of people who are not in their home country who have to make a go of it.
There are many possibilities in the smaller cities, more accommodation, more work possibilities.
Ти маєш і можеш зрозуміти, де ти можеш жити, скільки налогів.
Chodźcie, pokażę wam moje miasto.
Mamy nawet pośrednictwo pracy dla osób z Ukrainy.
Olbrzymi krok krok i bardzo ważne wsparcie w procesie budowania tej autonomii.
KB Polski może wzrosnąć o 2-3% właśnie z tytułu migracji.
And it's also a very nice use of technology. This is a very recent news from a Spanish newspaper. You have the translation below. Iberdrola is a power company, has sued Repsol, that is a competitor, an oil company, for greenwashing. Greenwashing is non-responsible communication. But another news from a different newspaper, Spanish newspaper, is a strong paradox or contradiction. The president of Iberdrola regularly uses the company jet for trips of less than 30 minutes. So who is doing greenwashing, or who is keeping the coherency between their power relations, campaigns, and corporate communications? According to the European Commission, 53% of green claims reported in Europe contain vague, misleading, or unfounded information. And 40% of messages are not supported by evidence. So there is a lot of greenwashing that is non-responsible communication. I have created a new concept, that soul washing, that is regarding to the purpose, because many companies are creating campaigns and statements around a purpose, but really you have to certify that you are paying attention to the purpose and doing things regarding the purpose. We have a problem of trust. We have a problem of credibility. According to the Edelman Trust Barometer, there is a lot of misleading campaigns and misleading initiatives. Really, and this is part of the goal of this webinar. I think in the last edition, on the previous edition of the Edelman Trust Barometer, there is a call for companies to restore trust, because institutions are destroying trust. And a very important stake of trust is supported by companies, or must be supported by companies, in order to create a different climate of trust for democracy. Just a statement by Michael Foucault about the meaning of truth. Truth is a system of ordered procedures for the production, regulation, distribution, circulation, and operation of statements. Tony Musi Falconi, that was one of the presidents of the Global Alliance, told me several years ago that we shouldn't speak about ethics. We should speak about responsibility, because our responsibility as communicators is mainly based on the procedure, because we are intermediaries, and the procedure is quite important to keep our trust and the trust of the system. If we want to go from poverty or from difficult situation to progress, to development, we need sustainability. That is one of the words that is very fashion. But sustainability is related to environmental sustainability, economic or financial sustainability, of course, social responsibility. And according to our campaign, we need to create a framework of dialogue for mutual understanding, and is about communicational sustainability. We have to ensure that the dialogue is the most powerful weapon to address the SDGs. That is the environment, that is the framework for the SDG 18 around the concept of responsible communication. We have gathered more than 100 associations supporting the initiative. We have sent a letter to the General Secretary of United Nations to ask for a meeting, not only to put on the table our initiative around the 18 SDG, but also to start any kind of cooperation with United Nations in order to help to achieve the other 17 goals. Because we need a lot of improvement regarding to the main goals. If you watch the colors, there is a lot of red color in the graphic or insufficient data, but is a worrying situation regarding the achievement of the SDG. Finally, as PR professionals, we are on the edge, like a blade runner. And one side of the edge, one side of the blade is the wrong size, and the other side is the right size, and the right side is very related to this concept of responsible communication, because taking advantage of the first ethical principle of the Global Alliance, we serve to the public interest. So we have a social responsibility. We have a social responsibility that goes beyond our organizations. And this social responsibility is in the center of this call to UN. Maybe you know that communication is a word that is integrated by two Indo-European words. The root is Indo-European and is co and main. And the meaning of co-main is to create community. So our responsibility is to create community in times of distrust. That is my presentation to set a framework for the business cases, the beautiful and nice business cases we are going to share with the audience. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, José. Now I'd like to invite Pavel Vlček, President of PR Klub from Czech Republic.
Thank you, Mateus. Thank you, José Manuel. Hello, everybody. Mateus will remotely organize my presentation. So thank you for this. And I'm very happy that José Manuel so strongly underlined the necessity of ethics and our cooperation as communicators on the platform of sustainability. What I see, Mateus, I will just tell you next, yes, or the next slide. Correct. Thank you. So just let me introduce PR Klub, which is the National Association of Public Relations and Communication in the Czech Republic. We have currently almost 350 individuals and 40 plus brands who are members. Next, please. And we have here four projects which are really top of Golden Semicolon Awards, which we are running currently now for the 2024 year. And these pictures here are from the last one, which took place in Prague in September last year. And we had almost 500 guests there and almost 700 applications to the awards. It was really robust. Thank you. Next, please. And the Golden Semicolon is here with us for 22 years, and since 2020 it also welcomes the project from Slovakia, from the Slovak Republic. Therefore, we have here also Slovak guests. Thanks. Next, please. This is what José Manuel already mentioned, and the goals, which are, next please, translated into a European ESG strategy. And I would like to stress that from my personal perspective, it is really necessary that communicators understand what ESG, sustainability, responsibility, and corporate responsibility really means. Because, for example, we had here an event last year, a couple of months ago, outside of Prague, and then when I asked how many of communicators are really dealing with ESG, so only 3 participants, presented that they do so. These data from the region, like Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, and Austria, show that really people, general public, focuses on especially fairness towards employees in terms of ESG. So on the social pillar, and the next is the environmental part. Next, please. And this slide is very simple and shows what also José Manuel stressed, that we have an extremely huge responsibility as communicators, because we are, let's say, literally a soul of companies, and our role is really strategic for the interaction with stakeholders. And when and these are data from the Czech Republic, which show that 2 out of 10 customers actively seek information about companies' responsibility. But they estimate 9 out of 10 customers estimate that companies are responsible and they are doing their effort for the sustainability. So this gap of like 70% shows that they rely on the presentation and communication, and they need to trust to companies. Next, please. Regarding how to find these sustainable topics, this is always about, frankly speaking, ability of the company, about core values, attitudes, and related companies shouldn't overestimate themselves, but really be focused on their core. Those next, please. And this map really presents what and these are data from the Czech Republic from 2021, what really customers estimate from companies / businesses, and they really want or claim that specific industries should be focused on specific values and activities. So, for example, tobacco producers should really focus on basic values like health and criminality, car producers on environment, etc. Next, please. And this dashboard is full of numbers, but it really shows that the brand reputation is the reason of almost 2/3 of companies to drive the sustainability events or actions, because they really perceive it like something what is completely related with the brand reputation. And this is our task. And when you look down, there is very sad statistics, which is currently 1.5 years old, that the sustainability topics are really communicated internally very poorly. Like 23% of employees perceive the internal communication regarding sustainability and responsibility as good one, And in external communication, it's even worse, only 13%. Next, please. But this last slide clearly says what we all probably know based on our experience, that when the brand is perceived as responsible, then it has much higher trust, the public opinion is much better, and in case of any crisis or any impact, the customers, clients will support the brand and the company. So really the benefits of being responsible are extreme, and it's visible on data. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Pavel. Now I'd like to invite Marta Cesnaková, that will be the corporate communication team lead and spokesperson for Slovenská, sporitelňa, that will talk about My Dear Slovaks campaign.
Hi. Well, as it was said, my name is Marta, and Slovenská sporitelňa is the largest bank in Slovakia. So I'm from the banking sector, and we are the member of Erste Group, which is one of the biggest financial groups in Central and Eastern Europe. And I'm very, very happy and grateful to be today here with you and share a story of our company, because I believe that what we do is really more than social responsibility, and I will show you also our commitment to this country and our activities, what we are trying to do, how to make Slovakia a better country. So I will start sharing my presentation. Okay, I hope now it is fine.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get to the start. A few years back, we came across a chart that totally blew our mind. A chart that was supposed to define everything we would do in a communication in upcoming years. This is a survey called the Eurobarometer. I guess many of you are familiar with it because it's conducted every year among EU countries. And this survey shows how satisfied are people with their lives and how optimistic or pessimistic they feel about their future in upcoming 12 months. So let's see results. Happy ones. I call them Happy Scandinavian Club. Totally satisfied, totally optimistic. Rest of the Europe. You see, I guess you can find your country here. And the question was, where Slovakia is? Tada! We broke through the bottom. We are the biggest pessimist in the European Union. Depressed, unsatisfied, resigned on our lives. So this is the country we live in, and you might be wondering how big of a problem it is. So let me tell you, it's really hard to live in a country where you are surrounded by depressed, angry, unsatisfied people. And secondly, and this is much more important, according to behavioral economics, countries where people believe in themselves, believe in the future, those are the countries that prosper. And so we were thinking about Slovakia, like how wonderful it would be to live in a country where everything is different. You know, those happy people walking down the streets, smiling at each other, supporting each other, dreaming big. Well, because that's the country we in Slovenská sporitelňa dream about. And that's the country we want to live in. However, Scandinavia is beautiful. We cannot move there because, for example, for me, it's really, really cold. And so the question was, how can we build country like that here and now? And is it even possible? Or can we at least navigate our country towards those happy lands? Well, and this brings me to a story I want to tell you about. Story of my team, story of creating country of our big dreams, a story about courage, story that was born in Slovakia, but flew around the world to India. But before, I still have to show you one more chart. It was already mentioned here, the Edelman barometer. You are maybe familiar with it because there are really many institutions and subjects around us who affect our lives. But who do you think is perceived as trustworthy to an ethical and competence to make decisions about our lives. Media, politicians, NGOs? No. As you see, it's corporations. Pandemic, war, and the world around us cause us to lose trust in institutions, in politicians, in media, in churches, and put our trust in corporations and banks and IT sector in particular. And by the way, today's banks are basically IT companies with banking license. That's how much the world has changed. And we, as a responsible leader and a responsible brand, we are convinced that it is our role to inspire this country to believe in themselves, to believe in a future. This is the power of big brand used for the greater good. And by the way, it's good for the business as well. Because as our CEO says, because we as a bank will only do as well as people and businesses in this country do. And so the lack of the optimism among Slovaks, our strong belief that we have to encourage this country and the mandate given us by the public, these all defined our marketing and communication activities over the past years. We've been seeking heroes and heroines who would bring Slovaks believe in the future again. And so, firstly, during the pandemics, we came up with a story of 80-year-old lady called Zofia, who was, despite her age, looking forward to the future. Later on, we came up with the story of lost son, who graduated from prestigious university abroad, but then returned home, started a business, and helped the country grow. And so, we were looking for hero number 3, but who should it be? Who could inspire others? Who could touch people's souls? Who could bring positive emotions among this hugely divided and depressed country? Well, we knew of one person, Julius Satinsky, an actor, comedian, writer, philosopher, totally loved by the whole country. And by the way, this is valid regardless the age. You can see on my chart, there is likability and awareness. The faces are the comedians and actors from Slovakia, and Julo is really on the top. So we've got it. We found our hero number 3. But there was that little tiny problem about it because Julius Satinsky had been dead for 20 years. But it was the year 2022, and there was also this new buzzword all around us, just 2 bold letters like AI. And so we were thinking that perhaps there is a way for us how to bring him back. Perhaps we could, but should we? And if it is feasible, is it moral? And would it be innovative, or would it be like opening Pandora's box? Because as you know, do you know what's the most valuable asset that bank has? What's the substance of our existence? It's trust. You are all communicators, so you know that you have to build it for years, but you can lose your trust just like that. But after many hard discussions, the decision was made. We have decided to be courageous and to do something that was never done before. So at the time when the entire country was scared or anxious about what could happen to us in this era of artificial intelligence, we gave Slovakia artificial intelligence in its kindest form. And we have decided to revive Julius Satinsky. Firstly, none of this would be feasible without the support, consent, and enthusiasm of Satinsky family. They were really an inevitable part of each and every decision. They approved each and every sentence we put into Julius' lips. So basically everything that was said was somehow based on his true messages. Secondly, we start cooperation with the Ukrainian startup called Respeech. And however risky it might look to build your key project with a partner based in Kiev in 2022, we still believe that they are the right partner for us and that together we can make it. Maybe you never heard about them, but they are quite famous and they work also for Hollywood. And they are famous also for reviving the voice of Darth Vader from Star Wars. And so when the Slovak version of synthetic voice of Julius Satinsky was ready, there was one more challenge ahead of us. We had to find a performer, because it's not only the voice that makes speech sound real, it's also the intonation. And so we found another famous Slovak actor, still alive, who took this challenge and spent really many hours in studio just trying to imitate how Julo used to speak. And so, after all this work, we were ready to go public. And as the first company in Slovakia, we launched nationwide campaign. And now I am talking really about all communication and marketing channels that you can even imagine, based on the hero that was 20 years gone. A campaign with strong and authentic message: the future is yours if you learn to finish things. I will show you the commercial at the end of my presentation because I don't want to disturb the flow. And so we were waiting the reactions, like, will Julo be accepted? Well, we generated strong debate. People were surprised, shocked, curious, and we became the topic everywhere. We received tremendous feedback on social media, massive interest of journalists and general public as well. But since Julo was really loved by the entire country, the majority of reactions were positive. And so the mission was done. We launched a successful campaign that touched people's hearts. And of course, there were some critics who said that our actions were not moral, or people who said this is too much, or people who called us narco marketers, or people who are scared, but that's totally fine, because anytime you do something new, with every innovation or something unfamiliar, there naturally comes fear. And so we explained. And then we received amazing marketing results. The media coverage was something that I have never seen before during my 15 years career in communication. For the first time, journalists were really running to us, giving us questions, writing articles, inviting us to TV shows, to podcasts, because it was really the national-wide topic. I never experienced something like that before. I am used to, since I'm from a rich company, I am used to that journalists don't want to write about me. I have to pay for it. But this was really, really amazing experience. Also, from the campaign point of view, this became spontaneously our most well-known campaign over the decade. It had so spontaneous awareness on the level 53%. And 9 of 10 Slovaks knew this campaign with support. So it had really, really amazing results also in marketing. And then something amazing happened, because we won many Slovak and Czech awards, which I am really grateful for, because it was a reward of our well-done job and the job of our agencies. And yeah, it was amazing. And you can see also Pavel on my picture. And that was not the end, because we managed something even bigger. We managed to send our Julo to India, city of Chennai. So this is Julo in tuk-tuk at World PR Forum. And I am very happy and grateful that we achieved something even bigger, and that we received award for our project. We won a gold in digital marketing category. So once again, I would like to thank Global Alliance and the jury for this amazing event and the award. Thank you. We appreciate it a lot. And so dream big, and the future is yours. Thank you.
Moji milí Slováci, tu som ja, Julo. Vrátil som sa, aby som vás povzbudil. Čo je načaté, treba najskôr dokončiť. Nie je to ľahké, ale spomeňte si, koľko radosti prinesie taká dokončená kapustnica. A to už ani nehovorím o dokončenej pointe. Preto, milí rodáci, smelo dokončujte štúdium kybernetiky, debaty bez zaťatosti. A keď tam už budete, dokončite aj tie diharnice. Nech ste si bližšie. Ručím vám za to, že keď dokončíte všetko dobré, dôjdete ďalej, ako sa vám kedy snívalo. Moji milí Slováci, budúcnosť je vaša. Slovenská sporiteľňa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. Now, I'd like to invite our next speaker. That's going to be Albert Medrán, Global Director of Marketing, Communications, and ESG of LLYC. That will present the project, The Purple Check, use of artificial intelligence to discover biases in language when talking about gender violence.
Thank you, Mateus, and thank you all of you. I'm going to speak to you about the Purple Check, but before that, I just wanted to state that while Mateus can share the presentation, that our company LLYC, we are committed to the social responsibility that we have by creating communication, and that it's what we are experts on doing. We have a very strong thought leadership community. We have tons of efforts every single week that we publish many reports, because we believe that putting our knowledge at the service of society is a way of changing it. But in particular moments of the year, such as the 8th of March, but also on International Pride Day, we really understand that this is that they are very important and relevant moments to capture the attention of the media, of the general public, and to showcase the way that we can investigate, that we can put the knowledge that we have thanks to artificial intelligence on the hands of the people, of the general conversation, as a way to solve the many problems that we face in our societies. So for the last couple of years, we've gone a step forward on the way that we present our efforts of thought leadership, and it's the way that this project, the Purple Check, borns. It's the way that we can not only investigate, in particular this year, about how violence against women is portrayed by the media and by social media, but also how we can create tools and a creative campaign that makes sure that this that the purpose that we are persecuting, that it's making sure that we can provoke changes in society, so that these tools help the whole society to advance. So the Purple Check is a project that it's based on a report. Mateus, you can go to slide 3. Our report, Out of Focus, that it's refocusing the social conversation and media reporting of gender-based violence, analyzing the treatment of gender-based violence on the media and social networks. So this report is a report that we made thanks to the very powerful tools that we have in artificial intelligence, in the analysis of the social conversation, both in the media and in social media. And we followed in the structure of this report the recommendations of the United Nations, the UN Women, on how media and how social media should be treating this problem that it's very common, unfortunately, in many societies. We analyzed data of 12 countries in 4 languages: Spanish, Portuguese in the Brazilian version, and English. We followed the deontological rules of communications by the United Nations, and with that, we were able to analyze more than 226 million messages, which is 5.4 of them were mentions to gender-based violence. We analyzed all those messages thanks to deep learning technologies. So with these processing, natural language processing techniques, and all this amount of data based on the deontological rules of UN, we were able to have 10 conclusions that showed that the media talk more about gender violence and social networks, that media raises more sensitization than social networks. Obviously, they have more coverage of this problem than social media do. But if we go to how it's portrayed, we found out that twice as much sensationalism is in social networks rather than in media, which obviously shows that media in general terms have more rules on how to portray that than the conversation on social media. But that's when also analyzing that, when we go to very interesting conclusions. The first of all, usually the focus is on the victims, not on the perpetrators of those crimes. We saw that in the media, but also in social media, that 20% of the news still in 2024 justify aggressions. In fact, 1 out of every 5 news on the gender violence justify the aggressions, which is something that the United Nations says that never should occur. We should put the focus on who perpetrates the aggression, not in the person that has been aggressed. For example, you'll see in the presentation, there are some examples that are real quotes of news or of social media. For example, this one from a particular piece of news, a Marta woman was raped and dismembered for wearing clothes that were too provocative. So justifying what really happened. Then on denialism, we found that there is more denialism in social networks rather than media, and something that it's really worrying. Almost 25% of young people believe that violence against women doesn't exist, that it's an ideological invention, when I think that the data is clearly out there. 1 out of 6 news exposes personal data of the victim. That is something that, again, United Nations advises media not to do. So, for example, here, the victim, 57 years old, originally from Romania, has been living in the province of Malaga for 20 years. So giving a lot of data, of private data, and it's a way of how this privacy is violated and the victim is re-victimized. Then also other conclusions. For example, Spain leads in gender violence discussion, especially in social media. It's higher than the average. In the United States, for example, aggressions are justified more frequently. On average, aggression is justified twice as often as in other countries. Or in Latin America, we saw that gender violence stands out in the news, but not in social media. So it has 25% times more frequent than those news rather than in social media. So these main conclusions, that are the ones that I already portrayed, led us to say, okay, so we have a very relevant report that states what is going on in 12 countries, that has very valuable data given the enormous set of data that we were analyzing. How can we make sure that we, as a communications and marketing company, make sure that we just don't just analyze it? How can we move forward? How can we provoke changes in the way that all those data and all those main conclusions that we reach can change in the future? That is why we worked also on how we could create an artificial intelligence tool that made sure that this gender perspective was taken into account in how the media especially can portray this sort of news. With that, we created the Pavel Vlček, that it's an artificial intelligence tool designed to detect gender bias in headlines of media. And the idea is to make available to all journalists, but also to the general public. Mateus, I'm in slide 19, to make sure that anyone can access to a tool where you can paste a headline that you've seen on the media, or if you are a journalist and you are thinking on portraying this story in this very particular way, you can check this headline to analyze if there is any bias on the way that you've written it, and also to have the recommendations given by the United Nations on the way that gender violence should be portrayed. So the tool is really easy to use, and I really recommend you that after this presentation, you go to the link and you try to put some real examples on the portraying of this violence, and you'll see how, thanks to this analysis and these techniques of natural language process, the tool is really able to give you and to assess you in a way of how you can improve how you write about that. It's really interesting because it gives you alternatives to the headline that you've been thinking. But besides giving you these alternatives to the headline, it gives you the justification of that, and it says, well, you're doing that, and it's better that you don't use, for example, as we're saying before, the conclusion on privacy on personal data that sometimes some headlines give, and it lies, so you shouldn't be doing that because it's something that you should be avoiding. There's a video of that, but I don't know if Mateus, if as Marta did, maybe I can go forward with the presentation to don't disrupt the flow.
Yes,
if we go, perfect. If you go to slide 21, you can see how we made that. So it's a microsite where you have the video that you'll see in a minute, but then you see some of the main conclusions of the report and invites you to use this Pavel Vlček tool. So it's a way that we provide a tool to society, but also the investigation that is behind that, and with that we make this contribution from the innovation that in artificial intelligence that this model provides as a tool that it's been designed to raise awareness, to give tools to journalists, to the public, but also a way of making sure that the investigation that it's behind, it's also accessible to anyone, to any investigator, to any media, to any person that has a real interest on this matter to access to the report. So this is Pavel Vlček, the way that we make sure that we put technology on the hands of the general public to improve social problems such as this. I really invite you to check the website and to check other projects that we launched over the last years, such as Rainbow, a boat that we developed last year for Pride, where we had an investigation on how hate speech against the LGBT community is rising everywhere, and this artificial intelligence boat converted tweets of hate in tweets with poems that were supporting the community. As you see again, how technology can match the investigations that we do to provoke a social change. So with that, Mateus, you can put the video, and thank you all for your attention.
Just 1 second.
Mateus, if it doesn't work, you can share with all the group the link, and that maybe it's easier.
Just one more try.
You know, now there is a turn for Adriana.
I'm here.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, I was not able to share the video. We were going to send you by link on your email, and then you'll be able to watch it.
Okay, thank you, Mateus, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Albert. So now we move on to the next speaker. That's going to be the case Smart Tapper, the winning project in Global Alliances Award, focused on energy savings and sustainability in brewing industry, which also strengthens the relationship between the brewery as a producer of beer with pubs and selling points. The presenter will be Adriana Shuska, social media manager of Svengali Communications.
Hello. So I'll be sharing the screen.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happened. Let me try once again.
Because, you know, guys, before Adriana starts, this project is really linked with our Czech, let's say, national culture, because we are extremely focused on beer, and we have the highest beer consumption in the whole world. And so the topic related to brewery, which is the biggest brewery group in the country, is really something what influences also us as people living in the Czech Republic. And it was a great action taken just after the energy crisis started. You know, the energy crisis after Russia attacked Ukraine. And this is a great project which combines the business purpose, the technology, the sustainability, savings, and has a really great approach to being successful and rational. So, Adriana, are you ready?
I hope so. Can you see it?
Yes. Yes.
But before it, we could see it better if you click on the yes. Now we can.
Now it's perfect. Now it's perfect. Go ahead, Adriana. It's yours.
Okay, thank you for the word, Pavel. I will tell you something about Smart Room project. Smart Room is an activity of Plzeňský Prazdroj, Microsoft, and Czech Technical University in Prague, and some other partners. And it brings an innovative technological solution that will help pubs save energy consumption. It was created and communicated at a time when all in the Czech Republic we were facing high increase in energy prices, and of course pubs owners were no exceptions. The entire communication campaign was created in the interaction of our PR agency Svengali Communication and the client Plzeňský Prazdroj. Plzeňský Prazdroj came with the idea of Smart Room project primarily with the aim of reducing carbon footprint of draft beer. Prazdroj tries to reduce the carbon footprint in the entire brewing chain, how they say, from the seed to the glass. It's been measured that 19% of all emissions in the chain are accounted for by the cooling of beer in shops and pubs, which is the second highest items after packaging. And the project Smart Room wanted to change that. The primary goal of the campaign was to get pub owners to sign up for the project that will save the energy for them in the future. And at the same time, we wanted to show that Plzeňský Prazdroj doesn't only create beneficial solution for itself, but that it also applies to them, to their partners, in this case, the pubs. But at the initial stage, we had nothing to show to the pubs. The Smart Tap Room was in initial development at the time of the launch of the campaign. The data was just being collected. You can imagine 30 invisible chips being attached to all sorts of pipes and cables inside the tap room, sending reports to a remote cloud. And those chips were definitely not sexy, nothing to show. It's not like a spaceship that impressed everyone. You don't really have anything to show off at that moment. And that wasn't the only limitation we had. We only had the third 320 Czech crowns, which is about like 13,000 euro for the project. That's not much. So what could we do about it? We could make one or two reports for professional magazines, put a post on social media from the measurement, buy 2 advertisements and wait for a few months to get a result. But that wouldn't meet the expectation. It simply wouldn't buy a large mass of pub owners, and we didn't want this to happen. We knew that we needed to find a solution that would give us a maximum publicity right from the start, and that it would be interesting also for social media. And we started brainstorming. The consensus was that we need strong creative, we need emotion and story, but also that we need data. So there is a strong impact and that we are convincing. And we needed to combine all this into one strong campaign. We decided to look for emotion in the place where it all takes place, in a pub with a beer, because it's a place that brings attention. We took advantage of the Czech pub phenomenon, the strong relationship Czechs have with beer, as Pavel said before. So here is what we have done. We decided to create a story that on one hand, we will show the absurdity of hasty solution. We proposed to turn off the pub. We disconnected it from the mains. It means there was no use of electricity, so the pub would be cold, dark, only serving cold dish and beer from a manual tap without cooling. It means that the beer was warm, not good enough. And then we filmed the people reactions, that we will find out and film what people think. This will give us the strong emotion. And we had to supplement all this with some data to support our idea. So we took advantage of the fact that one of our partners is an energy company, and together with the energy experts, we calculated how much such an absurd energy saving, I mean, limiting heating and light, limiting the cooking in the kitchen, and not using a classic tap equipment would save. We calculated several types of pubs and got the data. Such an investigation could bring savings in the order of 100 Czech crowns per year. This looks tempting at first glance, but we put the data from the public survey against that. We asked a sample of 1,500 people who visited the pubs and restaurants how they would adjust or limit their visit to pubs if they were cold, after lowering the temperature in the establishment, and 80% of guests would limit their visits to the pubs. Without hot meals, it would mean a loss of more than 1/4 of people visiting pubs and restaurants. And with the help of data from average pub sales, we calculated what that would mean in terms of losses. To put it simply, turning off pubs would bring about 250,000 in savings, but up to 4 million in loss per year, because people wouldn't go to such a pubs or limit their visits to such a pubs. And against this will build our system solution based on technology, Smart Tap Room. We replace the missing information about the solution by pitting the absurd approach against the sophisticated investigation approach. This will bring a smaller saving, but without any losses. So one day we did it. We turned off the pubs in the center of Prague during a normal operation in the early evening. It was in November and it was getting dark and it was cold. We invited TV crews. The unconventional even caught attention of 2 main Czech TVs and let them record what people say about it. We also had our own video team. The reaction can be summarized like this. It was interesting at once, were people saying, but we wouldn't go to the pubs like that in a long term. It means that our data from the survey was confirmed. The next day in the evening, we held a press conference in the same arrangement. The unconventional concept attracted a large part of the news media, tabloids, and specialized media. They experienced the previous experiment, and then we presented them with all the data and added information about Smart Taproom project. We also took the entire activity to social media. The teaser was provided by the Czech actor Roman Vojtek, who's got huge impact on Instagram. And in the evening news of Czech TVs Nova and Prima, there were comprehensive reports from the turning of the pub, plus the revelation that we are bringing a solution. The information from the press was then published by other media, presented by at the press conference, and we provided footage of our video to the digital media. We ourselves then communicated a comprehensive video with turn of pub and the solution we offered on Prazdroj networks. So here are the results. In total, according to the monitoring, we had an intervention of over 6 million people. In addition to reports, we had guests in TV studios. The presentation of the project was recorded by the most of the domestic media. Thanks to the staff on Reuters and NFP, the reports also appeared in the world media, for example, in Ireland, Serbia, USA, and Asia. We had over 500,000 impressions and quarter million video views on social media networks in the Czech Republic. But what was the most important thing is that the massive campaign bought the pubs. Several hundreds of them signed up for the project, and we will encounter the fact that the other pubs would like to have measurements installed at their premises. This represents the potential for energy saving of 20 million crowns per year. Let's just compare it to the budget that was like 320,000. But it didn't stop there, because we provided tap equipment to the pubs free of charge. So as soon as there is a smart tap room in the world, we will gradually offer it to everyone. And then the massive intervention also fulfilled the second goal. Prazdroj proved to be a responsible company that applies beneficial solution not only for itself, but also it helps to the partners. And as you probably know, we also win the World PR Public Relation and Communication Award in the category of corporate reputation. So that was it. That was the story of Smart Taproom. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Adriana, for your presentation, and congratulations also on the award. So now I'd like to invite the following speaker. It's going to be Markéta Drakova, Managing Partner of Svengali Communications, to present the NEPINJ project of Czech Banking Association to prevent people from cyber theft.
Hello to everyone. I hope that you are hearing me.
Yes.
Well, so I will share. Great. I will share my presentation. Wait a moment. So I hope you are seeing it. Well.
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation. I would like to introduce you today our cybersecurity educational campaign, which is called NEPINJ. What's funny name in Czech language, and it's hard to translate to the foreign language. But anyway, I will explain it later on. Before I start, I will show you a short video. I hope that it will work. There is no sound, but wait a moment. Yes, I hope that now it will work. It's about the campaign, and then I will explain it in more details. Wait a moment.
Is the name of a cybersecurity awareness campaign, organized by the Czech Banking Association, and the creative idea has been developed by Svengali Communications. In order to attract attention, we relied on an original name and learning through play. The headline Nepindič attracted interest, and the funny double meaning acted as a call to action. The core part of the campaign was an educational but playful cybertist that simulated real threats in the cyberspace. Everyone was given 100,000 crowns to play with to protect themselves from e-scammers. In the game, they encountered 10 types of the most common scams and learned how to spot them and not fall for them. We also involved partners in the campaign, and together we reached Czechs through posters at D stations, a text message campaign with O2, leaflets for seniors at branches of the Czech Post, placemats in restaurants, TV spots on public transport, advertising on ATMs, spots on Czech TV and Sinistar cinemas, on all social networks, and through classic media relations. The Nepindič campaign lasted 4 months, and the results exceeded expectations. The total reach was 48 million people, 5 times more than the target. Over 200,000 Czechs took the test. The campaign budget was less than 1 million crowns. Thus, we spent less than 2 pennies to reach one person, and by educating them we helped to protect money in the hundreds of millions of Czech crowns.
So, it was briefly about our campaign, and now I will go through more details. As was mentioned, the Nepindič campaign is the educational campaign in the cybersecurity field, and it was most successful awareness campaign in the Czech Republic last year. We won a lot of awards with this campaign because of the creative idea, and as well because of the funny name. When we started to create the campaign, we were thinking about the facts that what we know. The number of cyber attacks is increasing year by year, and this fact is necessary to accept and to start to educate people with the cybersecurity attacks. What are they, and how they look, and how to fight with them. How not to be caught by scammers, by hackers. And in the Czech market, there exist many educational campaigns, but most of them are very, very descriptive and not very efficient. We also did some more research, which shows that 40% of the people does not know how the cyber attack looks like, and they are not able to recognize it at first sight. So with this fact, we worked in the creation of our cyber campaign, of our cyber security campaign. Before we start with the creative idea, we also set up our goals. We decided that we would like to reach all population. It means 10 million people, because everyone can become the victim of the hackers. Also, we decided that we would like to train the people, and at least 100,000 people. We would like to train in the test and to teach them to identify the most common and most dangerous cyber attacks which are on the market at this time. And also, we know that we would like to create some kind of cyber security tool that will learn people in a funny way how to recognize scams. And altogether, we decided to realize with a really small budget, 1 million Czech crowns. It means I'm not really good to count it in, but I like 4,000 euro. Am I correct, Pavel? Yes, it should be like 4,000 euro, 4,000 euros. That. So, as I mentioned, we decided to do the campaign with creation, with to use the creativity as much as possible, and to do everything in a funny but educational way. So we start to play with the name of the campaign, which is Nepindej. In Czech, it means don't talk bullshit or something like that. But we are playing with the PIN, which is the personal identification number, which is used in a security context. So it visually attract the attention, and as well it's in the Czech language it's call to action. It's activated to action. We also decided to create some kind of tool that will show the real scams which are now on the market, and which will educate the people in funny and playful way how to recognize the cyber attack scams. So that's why we create on the website, we create the games for every single category of every single generation, 12 years plus, and we give to people virtual money to play with that, and we ask them to protect that money from the scammers, from the hackers, from frauders. During this game, during this test, they encountered 10 types of most common scam, and they were able to learn how to identify the fraud, they learn how to not be caught by scammers. We also know that the scammers differentiating a bit, and they are targeting the different type of generation with different type of the scammers, so of the fraud. So that's why we also create this test for several type of generation, and every single generation had their proper questions or proper demonstration of the fraud. We also create this test, cyber test. We call it Cybertest. This cyber test was also created by school, where we play not with the test because it's a bit negative for the students. Test, it means something negative for them. So we play with a cyber play name, and we create this time of the same type of this game just for the school and primary and secondary school. In the test, we show real example of the frauds which are now on the market, and with the educational forum, we show to people how to recognize every single scam, what's necessary to pay attention for, and how not to be caught by scammers. And because we knew that we will reach the best results only with the high media, not only media, but only high reach or high media coverage. So we asked the partners, the biggest Czech companies that have a problem with the cybersecurity as well, or their customers have a problem with the cybersecurity. So we asked them to cooperate with us, with Czech Banking Association and Svengali Communication, to cooperate with us on that kind of campaign and to give us their knowledges and to support us with their money during the campaign. So together with the synergies with our partners, we create the big campaign where we used a lot of communication tools like posters, like SMS campaign, leaflets in the village, placement in the restaurant, spot in the cinema, advertising in the ATM, social communication. We also cooperate with the influencers on social media. And as well, we had the reach through the media, very great reach through the media. We were 5 times in a prime time on the biggest TV station. And as well, we had, as is shown here, we had the cover page of our daily, one of the biggest daily in the Czech Republic. So, as I mentioned before, we set up our goals and the results were better than we expected. We reached population 5 times more than we expected. More than 200,000 people went through the cyber test. More than 10,000 students did the cyber test in school, in primary and secondary school, and the spread through the social media was excellent. Almost 2 million people share our campaign on social media. Just for your information, we had a score in the cyber test and the total population in 2022 during our first year of the campaign. The score of the total population was 70%. Men were better than the women a bit. So that's all from my side. If you have any question, I will be here to answer it. If not, thank you very much.
We will leave the question Q&A for the end, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for the invitation.
And now I would like to invite our following guest. That's Lucy Zumhova, Head of Communications of FCC Environmental CEE Group, Friendly Environment Communication from an environmental company.
So hello to everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
I would like to thank to Global Alliance to organizing this great webinar on this interesting topic, and also giving me a chance to speak on behalf of the FCC Environment CE Group about responsible communication. FCC Environment CE Group is an international company which is, let's say, acting on the field of the waste management and citizen services. We provide our services in the Central Europe, from Austria, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, Hungary to Serbia and Romania, and we are a part of the global FCC Group. A few weeks ago, I was approached by José Manuel to make a presentation on this topic, on the responsible communication, or maybe we can call it sustainable communication. It's about words. And at the beginning, I was a little bit scared, because I was thinking, okay, what is it actually about? And I am also always worried if I hear words like responsible, sustainable, which I find in the moment as a trendy words. And I'm always suspicious a little bit, because these trendy words are, for me, overused many times and without any content, without any substance. But I started to Google a little bit because I am a definition woman. And I was trying to find a definition which I like and which is, let's say, giving me the chance to understand what is the topic about. And I like really two of them, two definitions. First was this one. It's I like the green market words. That responsible communication should be targeted, human, transparent, truthful, and caring. And the second definition is connecting the responsible communication with responsible storytelling, because the communication is, for me, about stories. Stories are the base for any communication. even deeper I went into the definitions and to the topic, I was realizing that actually it has been something what we as the FCC group were following for many years. It's a part of our concept, and I would share how we maybe understand the responsible communication. In my opinion, and also in the opinion of our company. So the communication, the responsible communication should be the communication with the future. The future has only that communication which is based on the truth. Yeah, so it's not about the lies, about any special subjective truth, because if you start with the lies and special stories once, so you should remember all of them, and it takes energy. The second point I would like to mention here, it's about the personal and corporate integrity, which I understand as the basis for the responsible communication of people, companies, and also about any subject, about any entity. I was thinking also what are the areas or what are the topics we can mention here as the examples from the real life, how the responsible communication has relation, where it has a relation to our business. So I found, let's say, 4 examples I would like to share with you. The first, the responsible communication should always think about the effects of the business. Yeah, I am sure all of you know Ernest Hemingway and his famous book "To Whom the Bell Tolls," and maybe you remember at the very beginning is the famous quote by John Donne, yeah, which you will find on the right side, and I like the beginning. Yeah. No one is, let's say, the island, yeah, and everything is connected with everything, if I can, let's say, tell it in my words. So we always should think about the effects of our business, about our activities, being responsible about what we are doing. Yeah. The waste management business is a little bit schizophrenic business, yeah, let's say, because it went in the last years in a very popular business. It has very good renown. 15 years ago, as I started here and changed my career path from the fancy trade fair company to waste management business, yeah, my friends were looking at me, okay, what are you doing there? Yeah? Are you driving the waste collection truck? And in the meantime, this area of the business started to be very interesting and on, let's say, sometimes on the pedestal, because the circularity, the circular economy is very important also in connection with this all ESG goals. We are having a positive, let's say, impact on the community, on the public, on the environment, by bringing the waste back or taking care on the waste, so something what the other people doesn't like, and giving it the chance for the second life, yeah, which is considered nicely and very positive. But we have also some negative effects, yeah, because here it's such called NIMBY effect very often present, because if you have, for instance, the waste to energy plant in an area, so the people who are living far away are like, okay, yeah, it's great having it, it's bringing, it's recreating the waste into the energy, and it's having some purpose. But the people who are living next to the incinerators, especially if there are some campaigns raised by some special groups of the people, they have some special interests, they are trying to show that this business is not the best one, it's very dangerous, and we have to face many different campaigns against us. And here we should be very responsible in the communication, not be, the communication shouldn't be about emotions, about our emotions, but about the facts. And we should be always sure that we are doing, let's say, the best, and we are not cheating, we are not publishing anything what is not true. The second point I would like to mention here is the acknowledgement of the responsibility. I'm sure you know it yourself. Things don't always run as they should, and sometimes there is a problem, yeah. And it can be a major one. And in that time, we should be aware of this responsibility. We should admit the mistake, facing the problem, accepting the consequences is nothing new. It's some kind of crisis communication. But the responsibility is here for everything what we as the companies, as the persons are doing. The third point I would like to mention here in connection with our business is the responsibility towards future generations. And it has also connection to our mission. Our mission is service for the future, and we care about the future generations. We started the project of the environmental ecological education focused on the children in the schools, something like 20 years ago. And we also are interested to educate the communities we are acting, and we are doing the business, also our cooperation partners like the companies. And what is quite interesting, also the interest of the older generation starts to rise because people start to be interested in the topic of the waste, how to recycle, and how to behave responsible. Last but not least, all the companies are about the people, yeah. So it's about a corporate culture. It's only responsible people are creating, I think, the responsible companies. And as Pavel mentioned at the beginning, it's about the values, which should be spread in the company. And it's not only about the desired values or desired culture, it's about the real one, yeah. Just few talks about what should be or what shouldn't be the responsible communication. Yeah, back to the basis or back to the roots, nothing new again. Smart. I think we should follow all these, let's say, letters in this basic definition or basic rule for the communication. Only if we follow it, the communication can be sustainable or responsible. And what it shouldn't be, in my opinion, it shouldn't be a dogma or a demagogy. I may be more sensitive because I'm coming from Czech Republic, so it is one of the post-communist countries, and also from the generation which lived a part of the life in the communism. And there was in that time only one ideology. So I am very, let's say, suspicious on all ideologies. And in my opinion, the right communication should be open to discussions, open to other meanings. So maybe at the end, I would like to say, so let's be responsible, let's be truthful and open-minded, so that we can continue to look at ourselves in the mirror anytime without any fear. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lucy, for your presentation. And so as we are approaching, we have 2 more speakers for today's session. So I'd like to encourage you from the audience to start asking questions in the Q&A chat on our platform. So after all the presentations, we will take the questions from the audience. So now I would like to invite Biagio Oppi, Director for External Communications of Pfizer Italy. He will talk about responsible communication regarding post-catastrophe, earthquake, and floods.
Thank you, Mateusz. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks. While you are publishing the PowerPoint, I would like to thank Global Alliance for the great initiative of the 18th goal, but also I would like to thank all the other speakers for the really inspiring case history. So why did I focus on natural disaster and communication, and why natural disaster communication could be helpful for our current situation? This is the question where I would start from. and we will discover it at the end of my presentation. If you can go to the next slide. Since in Italy we had natural disaster that happens quite frequently, such as earthquake, but not only earthquake, also floods. In 2010, around 2010, after the earthquake of L'Aquila, you see a picture of that earthquake. We started to work as FERPI, as the Italian Association of Public Relations, on how communication could help in recovering from earthquake. And we started taking into consideration the suggestion of Tony Muzzi Falconi that José Manuel was suggesting at the beginning of the intervention, but also the Melbourne Mandate that was clearly defining the responsibility of communication toward our community, toward the profession, toward our customers, and toward the society at large. And when we started, if you go to the next, unfortunately, we met immediately another earthquake in the area of Modena, where there is Ferrari, where you can position Parmigiano Reggiano and very good things. But the earthquake was something very impactful for that area. And we started to try to understand how the communication, the storytelling could help in improving the reputation and the new identity of an area that was impacted by an earthquake. Natural disasters, as we know, are huge media events. They are also affecting all the stakeholders of the geographic area. And that's why, from a mere analytical side, it's very interesting to try to study and understanding what is the impact of the communication and national disaster. Also because, like all the crises that happens, also natural disaster, a catastrophe, brings some kind of opportunities. And in this case, we were very aware after the L'Aquila earthquake that in the modern earthquake, we could help the recovery itself with a good storytelling that was respectful of the local communities and all the stakeholders. But then after we started to work, and this is a journey that goes, if you can go on, from the practice to the research. When we started immediately the activities of communication management and storytelling, we were putting our competencies together with other professionals that were members of FERPI. We were focusing on issue and crisis management, on the contingency communication during an earthquake. It's very important, the emergency communication, the recovery narrative that we would like to have built, and the fight against information disorder. Fake news were already there more than 10 years ago. And the same happened later in other natural disasters, like during the floods in Rimini last year, but other earthquakes around Italy. We found that our role as communicator could be useful for the issue management, for the contingency communication, for the narrative in order to build a new reputation and a new identity, and also to fight the fake news. But moreover, starting from that, we arrive to understand that a public relation approach and a stakeholder management approach could really bring a lot of value on the overall situation, also helping the reconstruction itself and the rebuilding of the community themselves. But this meant that we should put in place some basic activities that public relation theory and stakeholder management theory has always taught to us. So organizational listening. understanding the expectation of the local stakeholder, understanding what was going on the local level was really crucial in order to define a vision and the right and balanced communication of the recovery phase that should never be too early and should never come too late. But how you understand it? You understand it thanks to listening. And obviously, during a catastrophe, the listening must be very articulated and very large in all its areas. Then we understood that public relation and stakeholder management could be fruitful and positive in order to reinforce, rebuild, and strengthen the social and relational capital, so the social and relational assets of the organization of the area, and also of the community at large. Understanding this brought us also to understand the role of education and prevention. This is something that we should take into consideration, not only for the natural disaster, but also for infodemic, for combating the fake news, for the proactive pre-banking that I'm mentioning as last point. And then, as I was saying, rebuilding communities, because after this crisis, what we see is that the community are affected in their very, very same identity. If you can go on. After this, these two books on natural disaster and several presentations at Bladcom, we talked with different professionals from all over the world, in particular from New Zealand and Australia, from Spain and United States, from UK and Germany. We understood that it would have been useful to define some behaviors that could be adopted in environmental and natural crisis context. These are the 9 behaviors that you can see listed on the Carta di Rieti. You find it on cartadireti.org. Act responsibly, listen to stakeholders, promote a culture of prevention, communicate with science. Very, very important in order to avoid or limit at least the dissemination of fake news and misinformation. Educate to communication. Not everybody is ready to communicate, and so we must help the local leaders to communicate in a transparent and effective way. Value the local identities and ensure that they are respected. Protect the communities that is strictly linked to the local identities. Stimulate credibility and authority among in the public debate. It's crucial. And pay attention to language, knowing that every story, every word we use is going to impact someone else. And this was truly a lesson coming from the Melbourne Mandate learning that we started from. So why, if you can go to the next slide, why we think that natural disaster communication can be helpful for our current situation? Because we think, we are quite convinced that we live in a permanent crisis, the so-called perma crisis, that requires that we act, advocate and work for responsible communication. And now the call that Global Alliance has done with the 18th goal is a stimuli that we can use in order to start a conversation, at least discuss and take it as an issue, as a topic on our public engagement. because permacrisis means that all the stakeholders are continuously affected, as in the natural disaster, that every event that we see become a media event, spectacularized, with a lot of impact on the local communities, with all the things that we have seen, such as fake news and misinformation. So responsible communication is not only a good thing, is something we need absolutely. Thank you very much. My last slide is a bibliography that I would like to leave to the audience and the other speakers.
Thank you, Biagio. Will you share all those presentations also on the Global Alliance website and platform? And then we now go to our last presentation of this webinar. It's going to present by Anna Kabelkova, Edu Project Manager of Education, Czech Television CT, the public service broadcaster in Czech Republic. The title of the presentation is Private.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Great. Hello. I'll be talk about czech.edu.cz. That's a website of public service broadcaster Czech Television, which was created during the pandemic of COVID-19 as a response to closed schools. But the story which I will talk about today is about different crises. February 2022, the war in Ukraine brings thousands of children to the Czech Republic who found themselves in Czech schools, and not only the language barrier became a problem. This situation wasn't challenging only for students, but for teachers as well, because they had new pupils in their classroom, and we knew that helping hand will come in handy. So we have created a learning section for children from Ukraine. When we were thinking about target groups, we knew that they are different, but they have something in common. And what they had common was the situation they had to handle together. But where to start? Recognizing the urgent need for support, we started with direct communication with the most experienced and skilled one, the teachers themselves. And we have asked, what will really help you? We sent thousands of direct mails with questionnaires and talked to teachers during educational events and seminars. And we received valuable feedback. And the feedback showed us the direction where to move. We see that teachers agreed on need for bilingual worksheets for individual subjects, and also the realia of Czech geography, history, and culture, because they wanted to teach new pupils where they live. And the most important was teaching Czech language as a second language. That would be essential. So we teamed up with translators, pedagogues, psychologists, and with teachers of Czech language for foreigners, and also asked for help with special didactics. And with their help, we created the content quickly and of good quality as well, because that was what our users had been relying on for a long time. We contacted also the National Pedagogical Institute, and we created with their help a series for smaller children that was Czech language for Czech language with Mina and Tina, and it was how to learn the basics of Czech language. We also had hundreds of worksheets from more than 26 school subjects translated into Ukrainian, and the impact was incredible. There was about 150,000 downloaded worksheets. And the other challenge was that we with the other experts, we invented school inclusion games and activities. And all of these materials could be used by teachers, students, and their parents anytime and anywhere, including videos. 24 hours, 7 days a week, always free and without registration. But the other challenge was there, and that was how would those materials reach foreign students and teachers. We knew we had to go there where they could see and hear us. So we been addressing teachers in targeted TV spots in our TV. We were sending flyers and posters to schools, kindergartens, and summer camps as well. And thanks to our newsletters, we were in direct communication with teachers. And also we address important internet signposts, which focus on helping Ukrainians. We knew that they were really there because they were looking for help. And also regional and non-profit organization websites were sharing our content, and even on the Ministry of the Interior website. These materials were published also on many portals for teachers as a useful content for supporting schools. And also we were successful in communicating on social media, where a majority of the content was spread by organic posts. And also other media noticed us. Now we are constantly expanding the content. Here you can see content for high school exams, and we keep it up to date and respond to current events and relevant to the school year. And after 2 years, there is more than 260 worksheets, methodological materials, and dictionaries in the Ukrainian. There is more than 217 educational videos for teaching pupils from Ukraine, and 10 episodes of the original animated series for learning the Czech language. After the start of the war, the section for Ukrainian students was the most visited. Every month, more than 170,000 users visited our website. More than 150,000 downloaded worksheets. Tens of thousands of videos were viewed. And most important for us was the positive feedback from teachers, from students, from parents of Ukrainian children. Thank you very much. We hope there will be no other crisis to respond on.
Thank you, Anna, for your presentation. And now I'd like to ask if you have any questions to type on your chat. And also José Manuel Velasco will help with the closing of the event. So there is a question here from Eugene Gray. Many thanks to all the speakers in sharing. My thanks to all the speakers in sharing their respective case studies. It's great to see the uniformity of communication principles and the close proximity of the PR strategy being aligned to the business objectives. Whilst creativity is the key, what was the experience of the speakers in obtaining approval from their executive to their creative response to the challenge that needed to be addressed?
I think it's a question for all the speakers. Just to tell you a short story, when I was working for a power company at the beginning of the century, we decided to set a new positioning around the concept of energy efficiency. I think we were a lot of advance because in that time, electricity was really very cheap, and there wasn't any concern about the price of energy and about how to manage raw materials or resources for producing energy. But the CEO of the company was a little bit skeptical about corporate social responsibility. He was very focused on the business, but I tried to convince him that we have to show that we are responsible in our behavior with all the stakeholders. 20 years ago, during a dinner in my house, after leaving the company, he told me that, José Manuel, your main success was to convince me that our company should have a positive behavior that went beyond serving the main stakeholders, mainly the shareholders of the company. I felt really proud about this transformation. So sometimes it's not easy to convince big bosses about how to behave in a responsible way. But I think the payback is really very positive for the company and also very positive for our professional background. But for sure, Pavel and all the speakers have very good examples about how to deal with this difficult issue, responsible communication or corporate social responsibility.
Well, if I may add from my perspective, the situation completely changed since last, let's say, 10 years. Because, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, there was a golden rule in public relations that brands, companies, organizations shouldn't involve in any politics-related topics, shouldn't be engaged. They should focus on their business as good as they can. But since I guess 2016, 17, it came to a complete change in this, and it raised a concept of sorry for this, I need to remember, brand activism. And for example, what Slovenská sporitelňa, the biggest Slovak bank did, what presented Marta Cesnaková. So it was done also based on the group decision of Erste Group, which operates on 7 markets in Central and Southern Europe. So their senior management on the group level decided a couple of years ago that they really should be involved as local strong brands and players in such in such situations. So this is, from my perspective, if I may translate, and when I talked with their corporate communications director, so this is this fully fits to their perception or to the perception of senior management of the group. So they are fully compliant with this. And And I would like, do we have here Markéta Dvořáčková? Markéto? If not,
Markéta, she had to leave the meeting for another appointment.
So regarding the project she presented, it was also the project of Czech Banking Association, and it is something what the banks need to present to their customers and somehow show them how the criminals want to get their money. So it was also not about convincing someone, but to do a project which makes sense and which answers on the increased number of cyber attacks, let's say. And do we have here Adriana Suska from Svengali? If not, I can also translate it in Plzeňský Prazdroj, which is the biggest brewery on the market, as I mentioned. So they make a series of such activities, and of course it is one of biggest companies on the market, one of biggest tax payers, and one of most important, let's say, corporate citizens on the local market. And what they are doing, this smart TEPA, it was part 2 of a series focused on sustainable running of business, and now they have a current one, and I believe we will have in a couple of months the opportunity to learn more about this. They are just running this part of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavel, and José Manuel for your answers. There is another question from Jakub Ganin. Hello, thank you for the interesting, useful, and inspiring presentations. Please, how do you strive in your company to make executives aware of the importance of sustainability as an attitude, but also from a practical point of view? Beyond communicating externally, how do your organizations work on the mindset of their own employees? Thank you. Maybe Lucy, if you are in the call, if you can also answer these questions. And also there was some written conversations in the chat, if you also can also address that.
Okay, so it's a long way always to change the mind, not only by the executive, also by the employees. Yeah. But we are right now on preparation of the sustainability strategy, and this is the task of the management, the highest management in the group. So the management, let's say, is following this way. And we as communication, we are trying to support the strategy that it will be something like a philosophy of also internally among our employees, because our employees, however it can be a cliche, should be the ambassadors of this, and they should understand how it's important and how it will change the procedures and the processes in the company, because we have many challenges, let's say, especially the waste management sector. So internal campaigns, some webinars, and yeah, this is the way how we communicate.
If I may add, it's already almost 2 weeks ago, as there was organized at the European Communication Summit in Madrid. So there was a great presentation of communications director of L'Oréal, responsible for Spain and Portugal. And that lady said a very interesting thing, which was very simple. She said at the end of the day that since reputation started being a part of KPIs of CEOs, then there are budgets for this and full support in the company. And the same is with sustainability, because Jakub Hanem, he's a great guy, talent of the year, awarded by our association. And on the, I guess, the second place in Spokesperson of the Year this year, and he works for municipal police in Brno. And of course, this is, let's say, a public organization, but Jakub, in biggest companies on the market, it is the rule to be compliant with responsibility and sustainability. And there are numbers which can prove how all these circle impacts brands' reputation and how the entities are perceived, as well as police.
Regarding to this question, I have good news and bad news. Good news, sustainability is being taught in business schools. So executives and future top executives are aware about the relevance of sustainability linked to sometimes to reputation and other times to reputational risks. But they are more aware about the importance of reputation as an intangible assets. And as you know, companies are creating more value through intangible assets than tangible assets. Bad news, we have a problem with PR, because in many business schools, PR communication is taught as a skill, not as a matter, as important matter for an executive. So the challenge is to put PR as the same level as human resources, talent, financing, or legal affairs in the business school. But I repeat, good news: the top executives in general are being taught about sustainability and how is the impact of sustainability on the business.
I fully agree, because I'm sure that you know it from your organizations or from your markets. There is extreme difference between PR manager and PR manager. When you take a corporate affairs director in tier 1 company, so this is the really top level person, and there are also companies which perceive as a public relations agenda as a part of whatever support which is possible to be done by any kind of assistant. And of course, this perfectly shows that there is a lot to do. We are, for example, in our association currently preparing the so-called competence model, where we will describe the basic roles in public relations and communications / corporate affairs. And we will show what are the skills and knowledges which such positions need to know. And we want to talk with 2 or 3 target groups. The first is, of course, our public relations community. Second is HR people, that they really know whom to hire, why, for how much money, and what is the scope. And of course, to educate the C-level people in companies like CEOs and chief whatever officers, that they perceive public relations as a strategic role and not any kind of last point after product sales and marketing agrees that it should be communicated to the market.
Pavel, I can only agree with you. Because it's about the expectation, yeah, and also, as you say, many times are the people who are responsible for the PR and communication in the company perceived like someone who is ordering the gifts and organizing some events, yeah.
Journalists,
yeah. It's like that, yeah. And then you have a professional entering this company, and the expectation of the management is like this, yeah. Okay, order us 2 pencils, yeah, or 100 pencils of the blue color, and then there is a conflict there because the expectation from one side is completely different than the other side. Yeah.
Yes, clearly. And Lucia, greetings. I remember that we know each other from the time almost 20 years ago when you was in Brno.
Really?
Yeah. And I was a journalist in marketing and media magazine. So
yeah, with Bohuš Bohuněk.
Yeah. We were with Bohuš Bohuněk, like 1 meter from each other. So hello after
hello again. Yeah.
And will Sylvia Arto join to us, or
No. She has sent me a message. She's in a management committee, in an executive committee. So she asked me to close this webinar because there are no more questions. So I'm going to close the webinar.
Okay, and here is also one question from, if I understand it correctly, from Southern Africa. Of course, the plastics and so on. It's a big issue, and it's of course the problem that the garbage comes not only from Europe to Asia, etc. But it is about some kind of global agreement. Which steps should be done for this? In Europe, you almost do not get plastic bag anymore for plenty of years.
Yeah, it's about, maybe I can say something to this topic. Yeah, it's about the different approaches. I have an echo. It's about it's about different approaches in different countries. I can see it also. We are speaking about Europe, but I'm representing the 7 countries, from, as I said, from Austria, which is the most developed, also Czech Republic, Slovakia, maybe, and then we are having Serbia, and then also you see a completely different approach to and different infrastructure for waste management. And as I wrote to the colleague from South Africa, we should start at ourselves and then the producers, if we want not having the waste which will be not recyclable.
Definitely. Any other question, guys? If not, I will ask José Manuel for the closing words.
Okay, thank you, Pavel, and thanks to all speakers and attendees for their contribution to this webinar, which is part of the Global Trends and Transformation Month, led by the European Regional Council of the GA. I think we have been very efficient because it has the first time a meeting ends ahead of schedule. That is also responsible communication, managing effectively timed audience. This has been the first, as I mentioned before, I hope, many webinars which goal is to offer to our members a wide repository of business cases around the concept of responsible communication. I has informed about the status of the GA initiative, the call to United Nations to create a new sustainable development goal, at least to start a new time of cooperation to help the UN to achieve the other 17 goals. Pavel, you from the PR Club has shown the impact of social responsibility on corporate reputation. Afterwards, we have learned a lot how to manage, for instance, complex issues like a national feeling, how technology helps to communicate more properly about gender violence, how to save energy in the brewing industry, how to prevent people from cyber theft, how to communicate from an environmental services company, how to manage responsible communication regarding post-catastrophe, and how to deal with a wave of refugees due to the Ukrainian invasion. All best practices that showed with facts how to communicate responsibly. Thanks to all, and have a nice Easter week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.